Marshall and welcome to Crime in the Capital. On tonight's show we're going to be looking at the dangers people face when using unlicensed taxis. Joining me in the studio tonight is Jodie Adams. Jodie recently escaped an attempted attack by the driver of an unlicensed taxi while on a night out in central London. We'll be hearing about her horrific ordeal in just a minute. Also joining me in the studio tonight is PC Mark Jones, who in a little moment will be giving us more information about this present threat. But first, let's have a look at that horrific attack from which Jodie miraculously managed to escape.
A friend and I had been out in Central and we were making our way home. A car pulled up beside us and asked where we were going and quoted a really cheap price. We assumed the taxi was legitimate as we had no reason to suspect otherwise. After he dropped my friend off, he started staring at me through his rear view mirror, but I didn't think much of it. It was only when I realised that I didn't know where I was that I started to get suspicious. And then he stopped the car and attacked me.
That must have been a terrifying situation to find yourself in, Jodie, and we're certainly grateful you're all right. What advice would you give to somebody who was thinking about taking an unlicensed taxi?
Don't do it. You think it's not going to happen to you, but it can. I mean, it did to me, and as you say, I was lucky.
Thanks for sharing your story with us tonight, Jodie. PC Jones, I'm going to come to you now. Tell us, how often is this sort of thing happening in London?
Well, statistics show that at least 11 women are attacked each month in London after taking unlicensed taxis, and over 80% of all stranger rape cases are committed by unlicensed taxi drivers.
So is it just women that are being targeted?
The majority of the attacks are targeted against young women, most likely late at night, perhaps after a night out, like in Jodie's case, and particularly if it's clear that the women have been drinking.
So what steps are being taken to crack down on these unlicensed taxis that are operating and therefore stop these attacks from happening in the future?
Unfortunately, the majority of people who do get into an unlicensed taxi have, like I said, been drinking, and therefore are largely unaware of their surroundings. As a result, this makes it difficult to track specific vehicles because there are limited descriptions to go from. Safety campaigns are being set up throughout the country, and as a result, I'm pleased to say that over 400 arrests have been made in London since November.
Oh, that's great news. Unfortunately, we're nearly out of time. Do you have any one last piece of advice, PC Jones?
Unless you're getting a black cab, only use a taxi that you've previously booked. Even if a car appears to have a valid licence, do not get in because these can be easily forged.
Thank you, PC Jones, and once again, thank you, Jodie, for being on the show tonight. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. As usual, we'll have an artist's impression of the man in question at the end of the show. If you have any questions or concerns about this, please don't hesitate to phone. Thank you for watching.